Oh, Deadpool. Always the mocker, never the substance. I see that, there's a new preview for it, using the phone booth. But man, that phone booth has been outdated since the first Superman movie. But, it's not like, we haven't had, the silly characters in, DC Comics who are kind of like Deadpool. I mean, Batmite and Mr. Pitlick come to mind. But that's okay, it's, you can't blame Deadpool for not being original. I mean, even Bugs Bunny can take him, but that's none of my business. Lately it seems that, the country feels like, taking jokes too far. Some jokes get elected into political office, but, call me old-fashioned, but I prefer my superheroes to be OG. Those creative types, the trendsetters, and yeah, that's how we roll. Anyways, let's get started. What's up, everybody? This is DC Domingo, coming back to you again after taking a very, very awesome Oscar-celebrating hiatus last Sunday, thus explaining the curious intro of me dancing to Suicide Squad song. We have a giant show for you today. I will try to make it all snappy and quick, because I want to enjoy the day, and let's get going. Alright, so the first step we have, once again, comicbook.com, the editor-in-chief is a kind of a Marvel dude, and throwing some shade unnecessarily. It's like, hey, all of a sudden, Logan's getting good reviews, and they use that to throw shit around, and, I kind of have to go like, hey, they got it right the first time, what about, Origins, or, that other one called the Wolverine, but, I digress. It seems like those people don't know much about film history or anything at all. I mean, it's almost like they don't even Google. The first comic book movie that, gained notoriety as being better in the director's cut was actually a Marvel one called Daredevil Director's Cut. Some people might go, son of a bitch. But yeah, that's on them. That's an egg on the face for them. But hey, never mind. Alright, moving on. So yeah, the movie Logan, it's getting good reviews and stuff. Last podcast I compared it to the Book of Eli. And I was pretty amazed to find out how close that was. But a lot of people want to know how I feel about it. I guess this is probably my response. It's kind of ambiguous, so take it as you will. That's for me to know and you to find out. However, that doesn't really stop people from using something good that Marvel has to throw shit at DC. Matt Ashity strikes again with his infamous now hashtag. But if you look at, journalism in general, no single journalistic institution runs where the head of the the periodical makes a prediction and all of a sudden everyone fucking agrees with him. It's almost like somebody going, hey, let's go get ice cream, and everybody goes, I like vanilla. In a world where chocolate exists, or strawberry, or coffee ice cream is like, something is amiss. So I believe it's bottlenecking and choosing which reviews to run, and it's also the matter of like how you review a fresh rating. You can say like, oh, this movie sucks, but I like the costumes because it contains that phrase, I liked it, boom, automatically fresh, right? So yeah, the only other network that I've seen run like this, it's Fox News, when Roger Ailes used to do his famous memos in the morning and all the talking heads agreed with him in the afternoon. It's kind of weird, and we should look more into it. Now, a lot of people are tripping in balls because Logan is an R-rated movie, and apparently, it's like the first thing in the world that has ever happened. Even though, Deadpool, if you count that as a movie, came out last year. But, besides that, we've had some really freaking good ones. We had the Ultimate Edition of Batman vs. Superman. Not to mention that not that long ago, we have Kingsman Secret Service. That was pretty damn awesome. And let's not forget the French are better than we are. Blue is the warmest color. Actually won an award, Palme d'Or. And which is like the equivalent of the Oscars. Before that we had History of Violence, which is a DC imprint. We had Watchmen, not to mention Wanted with Angelina Jolie. We also had V for Vendetta, great. Road to Perdition, amazing. And we actually had The Crow, which is a cinematic masterpiece in my opinion. So all these talking heads seem to have forgotten about film history just to throw shit at Batman vs. Superman, but whatever. And speaking of throwing shit, this is funny as hell. Ed Boon, who who is the creator of Mortal Kombat, he's doing the new Injustice video game, and a lot of people were kind of sending him, tips and stuff, and because Dr. Fate is a new playable character, and everybody is now aware of Doctor Strange. Before the movie, no one gave a fuck, but I'd rather have my comic book characters be famous from comics and not from movies, but that's another episode. Anyway, so he has this thing where, on Twitter, he posted, Doctor Strange made his first appearance in 1963. Dr. Fate, DC, made his first appearance in 1940. Just saying. And, the awesome DC dude, J-Roar, posted something like, damn, son, hella nice, right? Now, the funniest part is the rebuttal, which also comes from neutrals, the people who are like, hey, let's all get along. Those people usually have a preference. So we have this dude with, anime writing, and he goes, let's just say both characters are cool. And then in parentheses, Doctor Strange has his own movie, though. And then, somebody kind of put him in his place with, well, Dr. Fate will destroy him, though. Misspelling, though, like the person who originally posted it, because it's funny. The comparison is that a man who has to learn the magical arts, Doctor Strange, compared to an entity that is magic, that is Dr. Fate. So yeah, that was like, ooh, people actually read comics. Yikes. Awesome. Yeah, knowledge is power, man. So be sure to, if you like these movies and stuff, be sure to read the comics, because you're gonna save you're gonna save yourself a lot of headaches by switching to comics. Alright, so we're actually enjoying this episode, even though there's a lot of shade lately. We're pretty happy because, as we mentioned earlier, Time Warner has a lot of faith in DC products, and people often don't realize that they're actually making more money than, for instance, with Suicide Squad to Guardians of the Galaxy and stuff like that. The comparison to the first three movies, still relevant. So yeah, people might talk shit a lot, but the reality, in fact, never change. DC's on a really, really good path. And recently, there was this studio profitability chart. And, WB didn't make as much profit, but they did have a lot of revenue. So, for instance, whereas Disney had $2.5 billion in profit, WB had $1.7 billion. Revenue-wise, Disney had $9.2 billion, even though they have more theme parks and cruises than Warner Brothers. And they have more kid-friendly stuff. So I don't know what the hell they did with that. Whereas Warner Brothers had more revenue, $13 billion. So, DC Comics and, the WB movies are pretty damn good. Now, I've been trying to figure out why there is like a discrepancy in revenue and profit from Warner Brothers compared to Disney. The only thing that I was able to find is this. Jim Starlin, who created, the famous Marvel character villain, Thanos, Gamora, and Drax, recently did an interview where, actually he posted it on Facebook that he received a big paycheck from DC Entertainment for his participation on Batman vs. Superman because of the inclusion of his character Anatoly Kanayev, which is, in the comics is KG Beast. So one character didn't wear costume. He got more money than the other three combined in the Marvel movies, even though there's been more Marvel movies using his characters. Alright, so that's the only thing that we have concrete evidence, of how they handle money. I have also heard that, as far as, paying royalties, DC is better, because Karen Berger and Diane Nielsen, I think, they both did a great number of changes to DC editorial to give incentives to writers, which gave birth to creator-owned material like Vertigo Comics, Neil Gaiman, Grant Morrison, all the British wave. So it might be one of those things where, like, Warner Brothers and DC pays more to their partners, licensing and all this stuff, whereas Disney just kind of owns it more. I know that one of the reasons why Disney didn't stuck with the expanded universe for Star Wars was to not pay the writers. That's a rumor. They basically said, we don't want to pay the writers royalty. Let's just hire new people, drop off a new contract so we don't have to pay them. That's the only thing we have going on this. Now, one of the things that we did learn over the weekend or over the past week is that Matt Reeves did sign on to direct the Batman. The only thing that changed was actually him being a producer, which gives him more control. That was the only thing that was missing from the rumors and to the final announcement. And I think that's a really, really good analysis. These guys from the website Monkeys Fighting Robots, they're usually pretty awesome. They did a great article on the creative control. So I'm going to go ahead and link that. But in my opinion, I always talked about, what does that mean for the director. I think that I talked about, creative control, scheduling, and how much dedication that was going to be made. So I pretty much called it right. Where like he probably has more confidence in the project if he's producing it. Which is pretty good. And a lot of people tend to use this subject to wonder why Ben Affleck didn't do it. Didn't do directing. And I can tell you that lately Mr. Affleck has been a very, very busy man. At the Oscars, he was there for his brother. On his personal life, I don't know what's going on. There's a lot of tabloids between whether or not he's divorcing or not, but I really don't care to speculate. Basically, when you're trying to have a friendly relationship with your wife or ex-wife or whatever, you're gonna have kids involved, and any good person and any good person of good character would choose to allocate time for their family before projects. And I think being the main producer and the main director on a Batman film would have taken way too much out of him. So that's commendable. Not to mention that, he's also a great humanitarian. He might want to spend some time doing that, and also being, all around, Hollywood, celebrity and produce smaller films, help other directors gain notoriety. So Affleck is just way too damn busy. So having a partner for that really, really helps. Now, Zack Snyder on his birthday was actually working. You can see him here testing out some footage of Aquaman. It was about 5 or 6 seconds of Aquaman swimming underneath the sea, and every single person on the internet has scrutinized, what the setting is and stuff like that. Well, it's pretty awesome that we have someone so dedicated that they work on their birthday, and not an ego princess who's like, "Hey, I'm taking the day off." Zack Snyder actually has his wife Deborah Snyder as a producer. His kids, are helping with, being assistant to other people, and they're, doing also, their studies while, Zack's filming, which is pretty cool. What the scene, basically, what I understand it is, it's a statue of one of the Atlantean gods. The outfit resembles that Atlantean bearing one of the mother boxes on Earth, and in this scene Aquaman has no trident, whereas the statue does. It could be the scene where he gets it. And we're kind of detectives here online, and that's what we discern. Alright, moving on. Arrow had a wonderful reveal of who the bad guy is for Prometheus. I think that a lot of people were throwing a lot of shade onto the show because the ratings were low, but the ratings were low because it was competing with another one of those reality, dancing or singing shows that the entire nation seems to be enjoying. It was a pretty subtle reveal. I was not expecting it. I was expecting a reveal sometime more dramatic, but this one caught me off guard because I was right on who Prometheus was, and it was revealed in a very subtle manner, which is pretty surprising. Overall, the show was really great. It had some nice action sequences with Mr. Terrific, finally getting those spheres, and if we get those spheres working kind of like the comic book, we might see some more acrobatics, some more badass Mr. Terrific action, so I was pretty happy with that. Thea seems to be kind of trying to find a spot in the Arrow group and the Oliver Queen administration, so that's going to be interesting to see where she goes. Alright, moving on. We have Flash, and it was a two-parter, so a lot of spoilers over here, guys. So if you haven't seen it, definitely do yourself a favor. I have a 62-inch TV in the living room. It's not 4K, but it's still really damn pretty. I watched the 2 episodes back to back. If it wasn't for the annoying commercials, it felt like a movie. And speaking of movie, how is it that in DC Comics we're able to have so much budget where we actually go to like a gorilla city? There's a giant gladiator arena with like thousands of CGI characters, but other shows on Netflix who claim to be really pretty at Amazon can't even get one Hulk in there. I mean, we have like a multiverse on DC Comics, right? And they're pulling it really well. I mean, I'm seeing things that I read in comics come to life on on a weekly basis with either Flash or Supergirl or Legends or Arrow even. I mean, how is it? As media was to be non-biased, they would ask the other side, hey man, how come these shows can do CGI, outlandish things, but yours can't? And I think it's how Disney and Warner Brothers invest their money. One's really cheap and the other one isn't. So yeah, this episode kind of wowed, well, both episodes, but the first one really wowed me because they go to Earth 2, to Gorilla City, and there's a lot of awesome development. You can tell that, I think that's Keith David doing the voice of the other gorilla, Sabiar or something like that. Which is always cool. He did the voice for Spawn on the HBO animated series, and for the Soul Calibur video games. He also did some voices for Halo and for Mass Effect. So, yeah, he's a pretty awesome actor. It was nice to see that all the characters are getting along in Earth 2 when everything goes down in this episode, which I won't spoil that much for you guys. The second episode moves onto our Earth, and the apes decide to attack. And again, we have so much amazing special effects. I was only hoping to see this episode in 4K and compare it. And I having like a 4K television, watching this, I bet it's going to be pretty damn awesome because it's a lot more smooth, so all the CGI looks a little bit more realistic. I like the dynamic between Jesse Quick and Kid Flash. It looks like they're getting serious about their, relationship, which is awesome. Speaking of getting serious, Iris, and Barry are getting more serious. No more. I won't spoil anything else. And Cisco, wow, he's kind of stealing the show all the time. It's awesome. So overall, the episode had great character development, good story, a very, very solid message about when to kill and not to kill, and ridiculously good action. I mean, there was a cliffhanger in there that I was not expecting, so we're going to keep our eyes peeled for the next episode. All right, everybody. So yeah, even though we had a lot to cover, I kind of made it snappy because I want to keep it under, half an hour or so. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in to DC Domingo, and like I say on the Spanish one, DC, dile sí a DC, which means say yes to DC. Thank you. Bye.